I'm John Yembrick. I work for NASA. I am their lead for social media for the agency out of NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C. We've been doing it since 2008. We've been on social media, so it's been a kind of a slow progression to get where we are now, but it's been growing exponentially. Right now we have 480 total accounts, so it is going from nothing to 480 happened relatively fast, and that was a little transition shift for an organization like NASA. But we have such a compelling story to tell that it just made sense that in the beginning to be on social media, reach the public directly with this content, and now we're kind of pushing them back with sticks a little bit now because every organization, mission, program, little technology wants their own account. The first account we had in 2008 was Mars Phoenix Lander, and at the time it was the 5th most popular account on Twitter. And I can just tell you from personal experience, I'm an old school, news guy. That was what I kind of grew up on, public relations, is sending out news releases. You tell your story to news media, and they go out there and transmit that out to the world. The success ultimately was the thing that convinced people. That account was, like I said, very popular on Twitter. And then we started going on at NASA and doing real-time stuff for spacewalks, real-time tweets on launches, and it just grew to the point where everyone kind of took notice and said, this is a great way to tell our story. And frankly, we tell our story better on social media because we can tell it directly to the public. We don't have that filter of the media anymore. And the amazing thing is that I think took us all by surprise, especially the people that have been blinded and kind of isolated from the public. You kind of realize, wow, people really love NASA and really get our content, and they're hungry for it. And now we have a vehicle to feed it to them. And one of the interesting things about NASA is that we made this transition from social media to social media really quickly. For example, we're doing, went from NASA Social, but now we're starting to accredit social media followers as traditional media. And I don't know any other organization that does that. At NASA, we don't really consider, there's always been this debate. You went from print journalism to radio to television, and I was around when they debated whether or not bloggers are really journalists. At NASA, we're not going to debate it. Social media is media, and that's how we've treated it. So the thing that's told our story really, really well is giving people this access, and I think that's been a highlight for me and for the agency. We have people in space full time, and I'll tell you, astronauts historically have been a little reluctant to be on social media because I think it's just not in their culture. From the very beginning, we had to kind of beg people in 2008, and the first astronaut to do it was Mike Massimino, famed from the Big Bang Theory now. He just said, sure, why not, I'll do it, and he didn't really know what he was getting into, and of course he has like 1.2 million followers now, and he's been great, his personality translated. It doesn't work that way for everybody, so there's still some challenges. What we do is we try to communicate with astronauts before they fly and tell them, this is kind of how we'll support you, this is kind of the guidelines. I think a lot of the problem we've had at NASA is there hasn't been a good communication channel. It's kind of unknown to people, so it's our responsibility as a social media team to inform not only astronauts but employees in general on kind of what best practices are, what you can or can't say, because in government you can't endorse products, for example. So if you can't go on space station and say, hey, I watched this great movie today, because there are sensitivities. So we just kind of try to lay all that out for people ahead of time before they fly to make them comfortable. And you'll see now more and more astronauts are tweeting and using social media in space. Right now there's 43 total tweeting astronauts. That's a good question. I think that in the end of the day, what we want to do, we strategically look at in NASA is where are people? Where are they getting their information from? There's lots of different tools out there in social media, and a lot of things can be considered social media. I'll tell you the big tools that we use to communicate are Google+, Facebook, and Twitter. Those are the main things we put information out on our social media channels from the communication standpoint. I don't think in 3-5 years necessarily those are going to be the channels people are using, and I think that's okay. There might be something else. So we're going to constantly be chasing whatever that is, but we take a very careful approach for 2 reasons. One thing, we don't want to jump on something and then have the whole world shift to something else, and then we kind of are always chasing it really quickly. Another thing, it's difficult to bring new things online in government. You can't just start using Instagram or Tumblr because you think it's cool. There's privacy issues, there's government security issues. So we have to get a government terms of services. We have to work out all the privacy issues with our CIO's office. So it takes time. So we have to strategically think, what platforms does NASA want to be on, and then work an approach internally to get us online.